2B, standard 2B is going to come up, student services, student support services. And we have 3 panelists here. So Diana Bonilla, who's the chair of counseling, Ludi Villegas, who's the dean of counseling, and Mary Lou Mendoza, who's financial aid.
And Joe Ramirez will also.
Oh, and Joe Ramirez, VP of Student Services.
To say that this was an enjoyable process would probably be stretching the truth a little bit. I don't know how many renditions we went through with the support of ASC and everyone, finding what the right path was to getting it to where we are today, with several months, well, what was it, Pat? 18 months, 24 months, 6 years? I don't know. Seems like 6 years. But you know, we went through, and it was a labor of love, of course, and something that we were able to go out. I think we need to get back to the very first slide. What we're covering are 4 different items. The first one is the quality of student support services. And student support services aren't just in student services. Of course, they're in the library. There are in academic affairs that provide services to students, so they were all evaluated and looked at. Our current catalog or our past catalog has been gone through various editions and reviews, and we had to take a really good look at whether or not our catalog is providing the kind of information students need, and also our counseling, because this is, when we have a catalog, these are the rights of the students. Students see a program or a degree and they say, I'm going to follow this. What's written is basically what we have to follow. This is their contract with us. So every year we do the catalog, and it has to be accurate. And we even did a degree works a couple of years back, and Madeline was instrumental in trying to get that together. And that was, although we're not part of that, it did help us take a hard look at our catalog and make sure that our information was accurate and correct. The third item, the campus provides, evaluates, maintains appropriate services and programs address the campus learning support needs. This is also not just on campus, but it's also our growing online distant education student population. And this is a challenge for us. And as you know, when students are not in the general vicinity, we have to also be able to provide counseling, admissions, and all the other services we provide. And this is where we start to look at electronic means of which we do that. And then finally, the institution evaluates student support services to assure evidence and provide that contributes to the achievement of student learning outcomes and the uses of results for improvement. And this is one of the things that we went through. In fact, student learning outcomes for student services are service area outcomes. We went through a whole cycle of how do student learning outcomes fit student services. They really don't. So we went and over the last 4 years, I think, Pat, 3 or 4 years, went from the SLO model to the SAO, service area outcomes, which fits student services a little bit better, and I think administrative services as well. It fits those a little bit better. So those are the areas that we looked at. Next slide. How has the college responded to the standard? The 2 things that I want to mention right now is that one of the things that we do in student services, we meet regularly as a staff. We try to meet every week, but because of schedules and timing, it doesn't always happen. But we meet 2 to 3 times a month, if not 4 times a month, to go over and engage our full staff, our managers and the chair and the deans, to make sure that we know exactly what we need to do, how we need to do that, what activities are being developed. And then we had the establishment of our Student Support Services Committee, our Shared Governance Committee. And it was 3 years ago, I think it's been 3 years or 4 years, that we went from what it was before to now is a Student Support Services Committee, which includes both academic affairs, classified, and student services personnel. So it's a well-rounded committee. Okay. Diane, next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, Mary Lou.
Oh,
right. I'll address how the college responded to the standard in terms of the catalog. The catalog was reviewed for accuracy and updated annually through collaboration with the Academic Affairs and the Curriculum Committee and the Catalog Committee Task Force, which was formed in 2007. The catalog was thoroughly reviewed and updated so that all course information corresponds to course outlines of record.
Okay, in 2011, Mission College became a participant of Achieving the Dream. And Achieving the Dream is focused on creating a culture of evidence in which data and inquiry are used to drive data-driven decisions on closing gaps for student success and improving programs and student outcomes. What we're doing right now in terms of interventions, in counseling, we have instituted group counseling for financial aid reinstatement appeals, as well as for students on academic probation and who are also on academic dismissal. We have also, as a result of attending the first conference in Dallas, we have brought back the face-to-face orientation. The face-to-face orientation was taken away in about the spring of 2009 due to budget cuts and lack of staffing, but we realized that it hasn't been as effective as an in-person student orientation, and the data and the research out there shows that it's much more effective to provide both an online and an in-person orientation. The math department and the English department as well have developed curriculum to accelerate the remedial English and math, and that has been also very successful and has been instituted as interventions for Achieving the Dream. Currently, what we're working on for the Achieving the Dream initiative is a newsletter that we hope to be putting out soon, and also a website where anything that the college is doing for Achieving the Dream will be posted there, and anybody at any time can go to this website and find out more information about it. In 2010, a discipline advisory program was created for specifically discipline advising and student contact in order to promote student success. This was a collaboration from Student Services, the Counseling Department, and Academic Affairs. And it is instituted in an effort to provide major advisement. So if a student was interested in pursuing a degree in sociology, that student would be paired with a professor in the department who would be able to provide them with more mentoring as to what are their options in terms of the field of sociology and what they could do. There was a training that was created that the Departments of Administration of Justice, Biology, and Child Development disciplines participated in. The program hasn't been institutionalized. However, it is part of our actionable improvement plans, which will be discussed later. Okay.
Okay, so, and I'm going to be talking about the key areas of strengths. I guess as a result of working very enthusiastically with the SLOs, we were so excited that we developed the SAOs, which stands for the Student Area Outcomes, and program reviews and unit validation process. This provides a more comprehensive way to measure the services provided. This has been really helpful for us because student services is not easy to show and prove, but by having this area outcomes, we could actually validate our services in terms of servicing students. In terms of another area of strength is the ASO clubs. As a result of the increase of student population, the number of ASO clubs have increased. The numbers went from 13 clubs in the fall of 2008 to 22 in the year 2011-2012. Another key area of strength is We are striving for the utilization of online services throughout all of our student services. Admissions and Records is utilizing electronic means for students' applications via CCC Apply, as well as for students adding and dropping courses using the student portal.
Okay, and then in 2010, the counseling department instituted a web-based email counseling service, in particularly to service distance education students, but also to make sure that it was available to the general student population. Moving forward, we will be also using CCC Confer to switch from a web email-based service to a more virtual online form of counseling.
Okay, another area of strength is the number of international students has doubled from 60 students in 2006 to over 120 students in the fall 2012. One of the key strengths and positive outcomes is the amount of money that has doubled. Originally, we started with $300,000, and now we are over $600,000 that are being contributed. So it's a great increase. And let's see, the other area of strength is the health center has increased its services to students to include mental health services from 2 to 3 times a week, utilizing 2 therapists. And I guess this has been a result of the increase in the population. We've seen mental health issues have also increased. So there's a greater need for our students. Another area of strength is the Child Development Center moved into a new facility in 2008. The child care services increased from 48 children in 2007 to 120 children in 2008. The facility increased from a room size of originally 2 small rooms to 6 rooms. So another important thing to note is that this is the only center, this Child Development Center is the only center that takes care of infants from all of the LACCD campuses.
If you haven't noticed, there's food in the back. So if you're hungry, there's food right back there provided by, I think, Administrative Services. Actionable improvement plans, there are a few, I think we have 6, and a pleasant surprise was that we had about 10 or 12 or 13, and I think the committee just said, you know, we don't need all of those. So that was a pleasant surprise, so we just have 6 or 7 that we have. The first one is myself, as part of Student Services, Academic Affairs, ASO Advisor, the VP of Academic Affairs, are going to work together to make sure that faculty and staff know a little bit more about ASO activities and development of. And we will have this before the next couple of months. This is one of our first action items that we're going to take care of. Again, by spring 2013, the VP of Student Services and program staff will address the audit findings. We did have an audit. In fact, we've had several audits over the last 3 years in different areas. And we have already taken care of the majority, I might say 95% of our corrective action plans have been already turned in to our internal auditors. And I think we have maybe a couple more, one international, one in for veterans. But we're well into this second action plan. Third, Student Service Committee, in consultation with the district, will develop a plan to increase LMC's website accessibility to persons with disability by mid-spring 2014. This is a bit of a bigger undertaking, but we do have to provide our student population with disabilities access to everything that we have available. And this is also part of what we also need to do with faculty and do a little better job of providing faculty with information about accommodations. And those are the accommodations. Just a real quick point on that. If a student is part of the DSPS, our Disabled Student Program and Services, accommodations are mandatory. Okay, if they have to go through DSPS, the DSPS program in order for the accommodation to be mandatory. A student who has a disability, who hasn't gone through DSPS, can't come up to you and say, well, you know, I have a disability. Well, it needs to be registered with DSPS, and we work together as a campus. Okay. Next slide. Diana talked a little bit about our discipline advisor program, and we want to continue to develop that and to utilize our expertise in the faculty disciplines so that students can get as much advisement as possible. You know your areas much better than we do. What kind of career options, what kind of educational opportunities are available in your discipline areas. So by spring of 2014, we'll have moved forward with that. And then by spring 2014, Vice President of Student Service, Collaboration, Academic Affairs, faculty will develop practice to improve student performance and assessment, providing assessment preparation and orientation. This is part of achieving the dream as well. This is something that we're ongoing, and it's just not a state assessment and orientations. It's not just a district. It's also a state area that's being reviewed. The state is looking in the next couple of years probably of looking at a one assessment across the state so that we utilize our one assessment, and everyone agrees to having one assessment. We just want it to be our assessment. So there's several assessments out there, tools that we use, but we'll have to figure it out with the state. So those, I think that's our last slide there. Okay. Questions? No? Okay, thank you.